my country, heritage of freedom, I pledge to uphold for myself and all mankind.
You could call this picture flag waving, sort of. But there are times to wave the flag, and this seems to be one of them. Because there's quite a lot of talk going on right now about what this flag stands for. A way of life we'd sort of like to hang on to. Homes we'd sort of like to hang on to. And kids we'd sort of like to hang on to. There's a lot of talk about our future in an upset world. A world that's hurling new problems at us at a hectic rate. New worries on the half hour. New crises on the quarter hour. New panics every 15 seconds. A lot of problems. Some of them tough ones. But there's also a lot of noise that's being caused by just plain old-fashioned griping, calamity howling.
You mark my words now, we're in pretty dreadful shape. Why, just take a look around. If you ask me, we're riding for a fall. It's in the cards. Our whole system is just a hollow shell. And the first good blast of wind that comes along is gonna blow it all away.
Many civilizations have fallen down. The world is dotted with remnants of forgotten nations that weren't strong enough to stand up against the storms. These civilizations all collapsed because they were founded on a faulty idea. The idea that the individual man had nothing to live for. No stake in his government, no dignity, no hope. So these civilizations failed. That's why the planners of our nation took great pains to make certain this would never happen to us. This they did in the city of Philadelphia on July the 4th in the year 1776. They drew up a blueprint that startled the world. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Of course, there were some guys even then who...
You mark my words now, we're sticking our necks out. We may even have to fight.
We realized that, and we did have to fight. We fought for 6 years before we made our point to the world that we, the American people, were going to run our own country. With only one boss, the voice of the majority, the voice of the people, according to our second great blueprint, our Constitution. And to make doubly sure that our freedoms would never slip away, we added certain amendments and called them our Bill of Rights. To every one of us, these rights were guaranteed. The right to open our mouths and speak whatever thoughts we pleased. The right to print in big, bold type whatever thoughts we pleased. The right to assemble as free men in any public place we pleased. The right to say, this house is mine. The right to say, these courts are mine, and in them I'll get a square deal. The right to say, this church is mine. I'll worship my God as I please. These were the blueprints we chose to build by. And this was the kind of country in which we started to build. Not very easy going. And of course, always this guy.
Now you mark my words, we're in a lot of trouble. Everything is going wrong, the whole thing will never work. I know it'll never work.
But while he griped for 162 years, we built for 162 years. For the first time in the history of the world, free men starting from scratch were building the kind of nation they wanted. And as they worked, the whole world watched them. And more men from other countries that were not so free, came here, joined in, and added their strength to the common task. Not because they liked the climate, not because the job was a cinch, but because the job seemed to make common human sense. And they and their families wanted to be part of it. Part of the team that was turning things like this into things like this. Things like this into things like this. Things like this into things like this. We kept on building, changing the face of a continent. And whenever the rights of these free people have been threatened, good men have always managed to take care of such problems. Good men have always paid with blood and flesh for our American heritage. It's still ours today. All of the 3,022,387 square miles of it. Still ours to come and go in as we please. With 3,247,000 miles of road for us to travel in any direction, wherever we choose. With some sights to see that can't be seen in any other country. The sight of 142 million American men, women, and children, better clothed, better fed, in better health, and facing the future with more security, more hope than any other 142 million people on Earth. With more than 48 million individuals with power to register their opinions as to how their nation should be run. With more than 2,244 platforms to get up on and sound off on. With 18,370 American publications. All sides of every question, pro and con, are still being printed in big, bold type. With 6,500 public libraries, all dedicated to the American idea that free brains inside of free heads can tackle and conquer any problem. 256 religious creeds, all standing side by side according to the blueprints. With 166,068 American schools. Schools that are managing to tell more truth, bring more enlightenment to more free kids than any other system of schools that has ever existed on the face of this earth. And none of the pupils doing the goose step. If we can't make the grade here, no people ever can. Yes, you could call this a flag-waving picture, sort of. But we've got something to wave a flag about. We still have the way of life, and the homes, and the kids, and the blueprints the planners drew for us back there in the past. But working from those blueprints is still a full-time job for every one of us Americans today. Job of citizenship, the responsibility of participation, the obligation of active partnership in the living democracy. For without these things, the blueprints of our civilization vanish in the wind. With them, we build a house of freedom for all humanity. This is our freedom pledge.
I am an American, a free American, free to speak without fear, free to worship my own God, free to stand for what I think right, free to oppose what I believe wrong, free to choose those who govern my country. This heritage of freedom I pledge.